I just experienced my third ever crested gecko tail drop. That is her tail detached and wriggling around back there. This is kind of the perfect example when I've posted about my last gecko tail drop. Oh, Trill. Sorry, I know that's really freaky, but that is a reality with geckos, especially cresties. Last time I posted about this, people were in the comments, people with no experience with cresties, mind you, telling me that, you know, something terrible has to happen for them to drop their tail, that it must be something at the fault of the owner, and making it out like it's just the worst possible thing that could happen to an animal. Crested geckos are notorious for dropping their tails for literally no reason. I have zero clue why Trilogy is freaking out and decided to drop her tail just now. She is typically, since birth, has been a very chill gecko, and literally it's like early morning. I just was woken up by the sound of her bouncing around her bin, and I immediately thought, oh my god, this sounds like a gecko that dropped its tail. It's like 5 a.m. It's been dark and quiet and peaceful in my apartment. I don't know if geckos can dream, but maybe she had a bad dream. There are stories of people who sneeze and their gecko decides to drop its tail. Like, that is how easily crested geckos will drop their tail. And yes, the tail will continue to move for a long time after detaching, and I'll explain that in a minute, but I'm gonna try and take care of Trill here. Crested geckos are one of the only species of geckos that cannot regrow their tail. Let's talk about the tail movement after it detaches. So their body lets go of it, rather than it being something that's like ripped or cut off. I think there's a fungus gnat that got in there, in case you see it flying around. Their bodies are actually designed to be able to let go of their tail, and this whole process is meant to be a way to distract predators. Not only could a gecko be grabbed by the tail when being chased by a predator, so then in that way it's also useful, because if a predator grabs their tail, the gecko can let go of it and run away. But even if that's not the case, the tail hasn't been grabbed, the gecko can still choose to drop its tail, and because it continues to thrash around for a long time after being dropped, the predator is most likely to be distracted by the thrashing tail, which gives the gecko an opportunity to get away. So she's actually calmed down since I've held her. I do wonder if she was dreaming. Are you dreaming, my love? You're a frog butt for life now. I've just made up a quick hospital bin setup for her. It's similar to her normal one, but her normal one has bioactive substrate in it. I just don't want any dirt to get in that while it closes up. This is what the fresh wound looks like. It's not that bad of a wound. I'll explain that in a second, because I think some people think it's as traumatic as losing a limb, but it's actually not. The blood vessels have actually closed up immediately upon dropping the tail. There's actually no blood for her at all, or no bleeding, I should say. I've included like some accessories from her usual setup, but the substrate is just paper towel while this heals up. Some people don't do those sorts of extra things when their gecko loses its tail, and it's really up to the keeper, because it is different than a regular wound. I just like taking the extra precaution. The reason it's not as traumatic of an injury as like losing a limb is because the body is literally designed to drop the tail, to let go of it. So I don't know all the proper terminology, but let's just say I'll kind of try to explain it. Actually, if you kind of think about it like paper towel, it's kind of like there are built-in perforations in their booty where it connects to the tail. It's not something you can see from the outside, but it's sort of built into the muscle and the tissue. All these built-in perforations are able to let go at the same time, and so there's no tearing of muscle or skin or tissue, and all of the blood vessels close up instantaneously. Sometimes there's a little bit of blood. In this case, there's not. So, you know, sometimes there just isn't, because the blood vessels close up that fast. But that's why it's not a traumatic injury in the sense of the damage that's being done, because the body is literally able to, it's literally made to be able to do this. Like I said, some people don't do any wound care at all, and it's usually fine. Most likely little to no pain. And sometimes it can take a little bit getting used to not having a tail to balance. But they actually typically adjust really, really fast. A lot of them will, you know, within 24 hours, they're acting like they've always been this way. It's the great irony with cresties. They are notorious for dropping their tail for any reason or no reason at all. and yet they are one of the only species that cannot regrow their tail, so they have a one chance to use it in their life. And in the wild, most of them lose them as babies, and so most, if not all, crested geckos in the wild don't have their tails anymore. I think she's like 2 years old. Yeah. And yeah, just random 5 a.m. quiet morning where nothing was happening, and her bin is in such a place that she can't see any other geckos from it either, so like, if it was something she saw, then it was probably her own shadow. I really didn't think she would be a gecko to drop her tail, which just goes to show you that it can happen to any crested gecko, guys. I'm just telling ya. Okay, and even though I've done this before, this still freaks me out. Oh gosh. And I'm sorry if it freaks anybody else out. It is a freaky thing. Not gonna lie. It's covered in dirt on the end. I'm actually gonna wash that off so I can show you, because you can actually kind of see the built-in perforations that I was referring to. It's not really moving anymore, but it tensed up when I grabbed it, so that's cool. So just washed the dirt off as best as I could. But you see all those little, like, finger-like protrusions there? So that's where it would connect to their booty. And those are basically the built-in perforations, for lack of a better term. It's kind of the best thing I can think of right now. That are internal, like you don't see these from the outside. The last 2 drops I had, I preserved them as a wet specimen. First of all, so many comments about if you can eat their tail, which I do worry about you if that's your first thought. And I'm not going to tell you what to do, man. I wouldn't personally recommend it, but it's mostly bone and scaly skin, so if that's your thing. People were asking, like, what the heck do you do with it? So, like, I preserved the ones that I had as wet specimens, but I mean, you could just throw it out if you want, or bury it outside. If you have any cultures of isopods, especially a species that needs lots of protein, like dairy cow isopods, or any lavis isopods, but I think like powder oranges, powder blues, things like that too, they'll eat something like this up really fast. I have heard of people who have fed it to other reptile pets or amphibians. Like, I've seen people feed them to their Pac-Man frog, their bearded dragon, their snakes, anything, any reptile or amphibian that would naturally eat other lizards. Fun fact, cresty tails have basically a sticky pad. Ooh, it's grabbing onto my finger. A sticky pad reminiscent of the same ones that are on the bottoms of their toes. They have that on the very end of their tail to help them grip onto things. It's literally gripping me as I grab onto it. So it will respond to stimulus for a while, even though it's not thrashing anymore. Just me kind of applying pressure to it is making it grab onto me. It's so freaky. It really is like an alien situation. But it's not alien, it's actually normal and natural and pretty freaking amazing. Just a little PSA again, because this came up so much in my last videos about this. Stop making people feel like shit if their gecko drops it with their tail. Like, come on. It's just amazing to me the people that like have no knowledge of this sort of thing immediately go to, because it's something that freaks them out and makes them uncomfortable, they immediately think it's some sort of abuse or that it's devastating for the animal. This is a very normal, natural thing found in nature. And it's so flippin' common with crested geckos. That is just the way that they are. It's one of the reasons we love them, because they are just the dorkiest little critters. You don't have control over this. There is no way to guarantee that this won't happen. There's no way to control it. It's not up to you, it's up to your gecko. And sometimes your gecko can have a bad dream and choose to drop their tail. And that is not in your control, dude. So people generally feel really sad and guilty when their gecko drops their tail. So it's better to be kind instead of piling on with the guilt, because there is no reason to feel guilty. It is not your fault. There's nothing you can do about it. And it is not the end of the world. I totally understand the grieving process of it. Totally understand that. I'm pretty bummed that she decided to drop her little tail. And she's going to be okay. She's not going to be traumatized from this. The tail drop itself is not traumatizing for them. Again, they are designed to be able to do this. And they're not human. They're not going to react to it the same way that you or I would. They're going to get on with their lives because they're animals and they live in the moment. And tomorrow Trilogy will be acting like everything is totally fine. I totally understand being sad about it, but please try not to feel like a terrible owner if your gecko drops his tail. I totally get that feeling. I've totally been there. I've been like, oh my god, I'm the worst keeper in the world. No. It happens. It happens a lot. It is one of those things, man. It's less common in other species, but it still happens. And again, it's outside of your control, and your gecko is going to be okay. I have what I need to make a wet specimen out of Trilogy's tail. So I thought I'd just show you what I do. It's really easy. I have these cute little jars that I got from the dollar store and 70% rubbing alcohol. I literally will just fill this jar with the alcohol and then plunk the tail in there and screw the lid on tight, and that's it. And then over time the alcohol will slowly evaporate, so you just have to replace it now and then. It's a really snug fit in this little jar. So if I end up finding a slightly bigger jar, I might move it in that. There you go, there's a little wet specimen of a crested gecko tail. Kind of see the Stranger Things like fingers there. I don't know what to call them. Looks like the Demogorgon to me.